Welcome, everyone, to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Better Love Movement podcast. We are back again this week. We keep this train going every single week on Mondays. That's when a new podcast episode drops right here in the Better Love Movement stratosphere. And this week is our final Man Crush Month interview. So here's the thing I want to tell you, ladies, do not despair, because I have a lot of other male guests lined up throughout the year, but Man Crush Month is over. So, okay, you might have to wait a few weeks in between to get your male perspective on the podcast, but it is coming. So this week we are in episode number 111. It is entitled The Dating Landscape Today from a Single Man's Perspective. So, my ladies, you all already know, like I'm already talking to you all about this, which is talk to the guys, talk to the men and get their perspective on what's going on out here. Listen to them. That is really important. And so that's what we're going to do today. So today I am talking to Robert Webb, a single guy who has thoughts on what's happening out here in the dating landscape. So welcome, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, so I would love it if you would tell me and all of my listeners a little something about yourself. So where you're from, how old you are, if you've ever been married, if you have any children.
Okay. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, 1968 to be exact. So that would put me at the ripe young age of 52 years old. I did get married briefly at 21, and it unfortunately didn't last that long because we were both young and we we're still trying to figure out life, and it wasn't as easy as we thought it would be. So that's pretty much it. I've been in Los Angeles all my life, so I've seen different stages of what dating has to offer, especially in Los Angeles, because it's a very difficult market out here, and it's very, very hard to date out here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
As opposed to other cities. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to talk to us a little bit about that, but from what I understand, because I work with people all over the country and all over the world, that this is like a thing. Apparently something happened in the last 5 years that like, I don't know what's in the water, but people all over are having problems with dating. Okay, so tell me, what are your thoughts about the dating scene right now where you are? So in California, are there good options out there, quality women?
I would say that they are, but you have to actually take your time out to kind of seek. First and foremost, you got to really be honest about what you want in your mate. California and Los Angeles in general, it's such a melting pot. You have so much going on. And there's like maybe 15 women to one man. So keeping in mind, it's kind of hard for a man, some men, to keep focus on one thing. Wow. And I just had this conversation the other day with one of my female friends, because I always keep my ears out and listen to them, and we kind of like bounce ideas off of them. And what I brought to the table is dating has now become a competition sport. And what I mean a competition sport is that first, you figure out what you want in your man. And if you can be honest enough to answer those questions, you then have to kind of figure out what separates me from, the gazillion other women vying for this man's attention. And it kind of seems like men are the prize, and a lot of men out here in California have adopted that whole mentality that, okay, I'm the prize. There's
Mm,
15 women that want me. Um, what can you do for me other than say, okay, I'll. And then you hear the same old, well, I'm a good woman.
mhm,
That doesn't really cut it anymore. I'm a good woman. I'm cook. I'm loyal. That pretty much doesn't really cut it anymore because you have the same women saying the same thing. So you really have to like really dig down and just hunker down and figure out what you really want and move from there. But
mm.
the biggest thing is just it's just so much going on here, and it's just a competition.
Wow. So that is not the first time that I've heard that. I've actually
Hmm.
heard that on the Roommates podcast. They talk at length about that, that
Hmm.
that's the part that most people don't want to hear, that it
Hmm.
is a competition. So
Hmm.
you have got to bring your A game. You've got to be your best. And I agree. I encourage my ladies to bring their best. Like it's not good enough to just okay, I'm here I am. I mean, I really want my ladies to be their absolute best. So that
Hmm.
is being fit, being very feminine, um, whether it's you know how to cook, whether it's you are a business woman, whatever it is that is your thing, you know, I encourage women to be the very best at it. But yes, I've heard that said before, and I know women don't like hearing that, but if you want a top 1% or 3% man, you have to be a top 1% or 3% woman. So,
Yeah, and I think the only way that you can actually well, let me kind of back up a little bit and piggyback off of what you said about being fit or whatnot.
mhm,
A lot of women have adopted the take me as I am type of attitude, and that's okay, but don't expect this, and this.
yep,
Get a man that's more on your level that doesn't care necessarily about those type of things.
right.
I've had discussions with men, um, and one of the biggest things were a woman's appearance.
Mhm,
Um, Women, like I have a friend that loves women to be feminine, wear dresses. He likes to
mhm,
open the doors. He likes to show her off. He's like, just put on some heels and a dress.
mhm,
He's had that problem, and I know for a fact myself. Sometimes it doesn't even have to do with the way a woman looks physically in the face. As long as her body is together
mhm.
and she takes care of her upkeep, we're not really too much worried about the face at some of the times,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
So,
And we've had that hard conversation here.
hmm.
And I've had other male influencers who have said that not in the kindest of ways, but I try to put a little sugar with that medicine and let women know that yes, I do want you to keep yourself up. I do want you to work out, eat right, see a dermatologist if you have issues with your skin, drink water, like bring the absolute best version of
Hmm.
you. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
every woman's not going to be a size 2 or size 3, but is there a better version of you in there?
And
That's
that's
what I
and that's a very important point because we're
right,
all a blank canvas, okay?
right,
I can be the most gorgeous man to another lady, and you turn around the most ugliest to the next.
right,
But I always step forward to put out the best product that I can. It's just like
right,
branding yourself. If
right,
I walk out of this house looking any old type of way, what is my perception to what product am I giving to the world?
right.
So I make sure. I mean, there's nothing hanging off of me. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm pretty well groomed or whatnot. And I think people need to learn how to self-brand themselves
Right,
because what you're putting out there, people are getting a perception of how you may be. It's
right.
just like if you wanted to go to the gym to lose weight, and a trainer says, "I'm a trainer," but he's 500 pounds and he's sloppy. You're not going to train me because it's
Right,
the perception of how you look. Okay, you
exactly.
may look, you may be book smart, you may be able to tell me what you do, what you can do, but if you can't display or give me some type of image, then I can't go by your word. And the word is like people's words are just like no, they could talk a real good game, but as far as doing, applying, that's a whole new different story because, like you said again, people don't really want to hear the truth.
Mm,
And sometimes we all suffer from things. I mean, I had the hardest upbringing that you can possibly deal with, but
Mhm.
I knew I had to work on myself. And that's
Right.
all it is, and stop putting a band-aid on a wound that requires surgery.
Right. That's right.
Hmm.
So, what do you think is different between how folks are dating now and maybe how things were 10 or 20 years ago?
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to survive in this dating market if I didn't learn what I learned earlier on in
Mhm.
life. Growing up, I seen my grandmother. I talked. My grandmother raised me, and just hearing the stories about how feminine she was, and it's strong. She's a very strong woman. She was a very strong woman, and but she always respected her husband, and her
Mhm.
husband didn't run over her. He gave her that mutual respect,
Mhm.
um, and you could say that's a form of submission.
Right.
But I think submission now, moving forward, has been so demonized. Women take that as being like, you can't tell me what to do, you know, and it just breaks down the forms of communication. However, if I can add another thing to that whole submission thing, I do
Mhm.
firmly believe that women need to have a voice. They need to be treated equal because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, especially the black woman, because the black woman has it real hard.
Right.
And I respect that. I came out of a black woman, so moving forward, the black woman has really come through a whole lot in that regards. And the word submission doesn't have to mean like a death sentence,
Right.
but as a man, we are supposed to be the leaders of the house. You're supposed
Mhm.
to follow our lead. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, through different circumstances, fathers not being in the house or
Right.
fathers not taking taking care of their responsibilities, it's that burden has been placed on the woman.
Right.
So therefore, she's like, okay, I've been doing this on my own, so of course I got a chip on my shoulder.
Mm.
We have to also look at that angle of it before you say, okay, she's mad, she's bitter, she's angry. Maybe she has a reason to be angry, mad, and bitter. Let's figure that out. And how can we come to uh, a realization that, okay, I'm here because if I date a woman with children, I'm going to have to be some type of influence in that kid's
Right.
life, right?
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
There's been instances where I've dated women with children, and I don't mind dating women with children when they've told me they don't want me um, having no type of influence over the kids. Basically,
Mm.
you can't tell your kids nothing. You can come up, you can lay up, you can play house, you can eat, you can have sex with me, but you are not to say anything to my kids. And that just
Mm.
boggles me because
Yeah.
first and foremost, as a mother, as a protective mother, you're supposed to figure out what type of man is going to be around your child. I
Mhm.
mean, and that just comes with just dating. And dating is not I like you and you like me. Dating is like gathering information to
Right.
see if I'm going to rock with you.
Yep.
You might want to date two or three other guys, and once you make your choice, then the last two fall off. Okay, me and you are gonna, we're gonna make this work. So it's complex and
Yeah. And one of the things I talked about this past week on Instagram on the live was the importance of vetting and qualifying. And women
mm,
historically have sucked at that. Like, we suck
mm,
at vetting and qualifying men. A lot of us
right,
believe,
right.
yes, that the only thing we're looking for is, does he like me? And I'm like,
Mm,
"What?" Like, "Well, he likes me." "Okay, no, that's not good enough." Like, we need
right,
to dig
right, right.
deeper. So
Hmm.
so we had an hour-long discussion about the importance of vetting and qualifying a man. And I
Mm,
would say the
hmm.
same for men with women. Vet
Right.
and qualify this person. Okay. It's not good enough for that person to just like you or want you. That is just
Mm.
not good enough. So,
That's a very good point, and I've adapted that even when I didn't know that that's where mine was going as far as
yep.
qualifying. Especially when I bumped my head a lot. I wasn't
Mm,
a real successful dater. It took a
mm,
lot of trial and error for me to
mhm,
come to the realization that I need to set some type of boundaries,
mm.
and that included just because I like you and you like me, don't mean that I have to feel obligated to sleep with you. Because
Yep.
once you give your woman your body, it's game over.
Yep.
I mean, especially from a man, if he knows, okay, a man is gonna, necessarily take it, but if he takes it within a small window, he might treat you like a toy, play with you, throw you in a toy box until it's time to come again. I mean,
Yep,
not
that's true.
figuratively speaking,
That's
come over
yeah,
again
pun
and do it
intended.
again. Yeah.
Pun
And there's
intended.
been situations where that has proven to be right in my experiences, because after a while, I'm thinking like, I'm gonna stop sleeping with women. Like as of today, I've been celibate for over a year, and it's only because that I need to move a lot different in my
Right,
50s than I did in my 20s.
right, right. Well,
So women, keep your legs closed.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Say that again.
Keep
Say
them
that again.
closed.
Okay, because
Mm,
I get a lot of flack. I get a lot of trolls on my page on Instagram because so I'm wearing my must have ring t-shirt. It says on the
mm.
front must have ring, it's backwards, but it says must
Okay, I
have
see it.
ring, and on the back it says to ride this thing. Okay, that
That's
is one
good.
of
That's good.
the t-shirts available on the website, ladies. Must have ring. And I also created the hashtag no free sex. And
Do you
so
have that in men's, by the way?
I'm sorry.
Do you have that in men?
I don't. It's
Oh,
just
I'd
for the
love to rock
ladies.
that shirt.
It's
Okay.
just for the ladies. But the hashtag no free sex t-shirt, I wear that out a lot. And
Hmm.
I really enjoy men asking me, oh, well, how much does the sex cost then? That's usually the
Right.
little
Yeah.
joke. But here's what I say every time. That hashtag means that the sex will cost you your heart, your time, your exclusivity, and your commitment. So we are
Mm-hmm.
not just giving ourselves away. We
Mm-hmm.
need a serious commitment. We need love. We need, exclusivity. That's what the sex
Mm-hmm.
costs. So it's not about
Yeah.
money, but they often, flippantly say that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we need something deeper to exchange that
Mm,
with you. We're not just
I
giving
agree.
ourselves away. So
I
ladies,
agree.
check
I
out those
agree.
shirts on the website.
Uh-huh.
Yep, we just restocked all of our shirts. Um, so lastly, I just want to ask you in particular, because this is a question I get a lot from my lady listeners. They just want to know what men want. Like, what do men want? What are men looking for in a healthy feminine woman, in a healthy feminine partner? Like, what are some of the things that you would say you are
Hmm.
looking for?
That's a loaded question. Not really a loaded question, but I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for every other man. But as
Mhm.
far as me, loyalty goes a long way.
Mhm.
A certain degree of compassion, because I kind of grew up on the streets at one point, and a lot of this stuff I wasn't able to really get, and a lot of stuff that I had to figure out. And thank God for my grandmother that really just educated me on a whole lot of things. And I was always like a curious person.
Mhm.
And I think one of the biggest instruments that helped me kind of understand women and navigate and treat them with a level of respect that they deserve, okay, was that I've always dated women 10 years older than me for some odd reason.
Okay.
Like I was 20 years old and all my girlfriends were like 40, 42. And when I come to realize, and I wasn't sleeping with all of them, by the way, but the thing that I realized is that they, in contrast to the women now, those women back then, they were a lot softer, they were a lot
Mm,
nurturing, they
mm,
were ladylike. So
mm.
you knew to show this woman a certain degree of respect.
Right,
Like, no, you're going to open that door for me.
right,
And it was an unspoken communication type of thing because the way they carried themselves like a woman, you
right.
know. And moving forward, there's been times where I've taken a woman out to dinner and there were no price tags on the menu, and she's looking at me like, "What am I going to order?" And it's just like, "Oh, do you usually dress when you go out and wear cologne?" And I'm not used to that, so
Mm,
you got to kind of meet people where they are as in regards to that, because a lot of women have like father issues,
mhm,
and that could be a breakdown of like not having a father grow up to kind of um, give them the example, because regardless of what you may think, a woman is going to emulate whoever her father is.
right,
Now, if he's hasn't been in the picture, she's going to find something that she feels she needs to fill that void.
right.
And if that doesn't work, of course, the numerous babies by numerous men come into play, because you have this woman looking for genuine love. She doesn't know what it looks like. And you have a man that's just horny, and once it gets his rocks off, he'll tell her anything. Oh, I love you. And
Yep.
It's us against the world. And before you know it, them legs are open up like 7-Eleven
Yep.
24/7.
Yep.
And she has 2 or 3 babies, not
Yeah.
knowing the ramifications moving forward. Like, I'm a firm believer that whatever kids witness in their home, they replicate. Like,
Right.
I have
Right.
seen women that have grown up in single mother homes and have grown up to carry the baton in that area of having numerous kids by numerous fathers.
That's
And
it.
then when you get old enough to like kind of settle down and figure things out, you got 4 and 5 babies.
Right.
And then unfortunately, in some men's eyes, you're looked at as like damaged goods, because
Right.
who wants to come in and try to deal with a woman that doesn't respect the man that has all these children, and vice versa. I mean,
Right.
because you could say the same thing about women that date these men out here, because I've stressed that a lot too. Women, watch out who you laying up with, who
Yep.
you're associating with.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the only way. Gotta
No,
be
I
accountable.
I agree. I agree. And you are so right about those of us who are reenacting, right? So, as a
Mhm,
therapist, I tell people all the time we are reenacting what we saw in our childhood. We will
mhm,
choose people. So, I oftentimes tell my clients this, that who does your romantic partner remind you of, mom or dad?
mm.
And they
Okay.
immediately are like, well, neither one. No, no, no. Let's really think about this.
Mhm,
And eventually, they can boil it down to one of those main caregivers. They are
mm,
reenacting a similar play that they've been in with mom or
mhm,
dad. It's usually the parent that gave them the most trouble, the parent
mm,
that was the most critical, the parent that was missing, the parent that was emotionally unavailable, the parent that maybe had a substance abuse issue, a mental health issue. They will
mm,
choose that exact same person and they
mm.
will reenact childhood with them.
Right.
So I'm like, that's what's happening. We have to change that scripting for you to
Mm.
choose a partner that's different, that's healthy.
Right. Right. I
But
mean,
I see it
total.
over and over.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, and I've seen it play out a lot. But some people just don't want to. They don't want to come head to head on whatever their demons are. And I remember
Right.
my grandmother, and I bring her up a lot because she was such an intricate part of my life.
Mhm.
She's seen something kind of flickering in my head to where she's seen something I didn't see at the time. So boom, automatically she put me in therapy at like
Right.
14 years old. I'm sitting up in here. And I think a lot of people really, really, really underestimate the power of therapy and taking
Right.
stuff out. Because at the time, cultural wise, that was not the thing to do. Because I was
Right.
always brought up, don't be no punk, don't
Right.
cry, don't do this and that. But okay, what am I going to do with all these emotions I have?
Right.
Suck it up. And then one day, it becomes a pressure cooker and I go off and just do something. And then, I'm a part of a, legal system and put in prison. But yeah, you
Mhm.
really hit the nail on the head in a lot of areas. And if I can encourage you to just press forward and do and preach this gospel because it's much
Yep.
needed. But just like any medicine, you're not going to like the taste, but it'll benefit
Right.
you in the future. People just don't want to do it. I get
Right.
pushback all the time, but it's all good because I'm reaching somebody. It doesn't have to be everybody, but it just is what it is. I come from a culture of straight up no chaser. We don't
Right.
have no violins
Right.
and things of that nature. And it's unfortunate that we live in such a society now where we just live in this emotionally fragile
Right.
society. Yeah.
And that's what it is. I see it all the time, but I've even had to temper my message because I do
Hmm.
want people to get the message. I
Right,
want to
right,
make
right.
sure I'm delivering it in such a way. So the analogy I like to give people is that, I come off as like sweet grandma, come close, baby, come close. And then when I get you close, I'm like,
Ah,
now you need to stop.
yeah,
That's kind of how I do it. I was like, oh, and then as soon as I get you close in, I'm like, now look, you need to
yeah,
stop that and don't do that and don't be doing, then I kind of give it to you. So,
yeah. I experienced
yes,
the same thing. I just learned that I just have to be tactful with my words because
right,
people will say, I mean, they'll say the same thing. They get a perception of me. And then when I get them in, I'm just like straight to the, straight up,
right,
no chaser. And it seems like I'm going for the jugular vein,
right,
but that's not how I'm processing. I'm trying to help you. I'm communicating like people communicated to me, but a lot of people can't embrace that type. So I've learned actually that's just like been one of my personality traits that I'm trying to curb and be more tactful
Okay.
with my words. It
Mm-hmm.
seems to be working so far. Yeah.
Yep. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. I so appreciate it, Robert. My ladies are going to love this episode because there were so many great gems in this episode. And like I said, I've been talking to them more and more about talking to the men that they know, but listening. Some women really struggle with truly listening to men and listening to
Right.
what they're saying, whether it's because they don't like what they're saying, like, oh, that can't be right, that can't be true. I'm like, no, you all have to listen. You have to listen to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. And what brings that out is, I mean, it's just like you listen, but then you don't apply
Mm,
what you've heard.
yep.
And, sometimes there's a miscommunication there. But hopefully, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it's well needed. It may not be embraced by everybody, but it'll be embraced by the right people because
Right.
when people start seeing how whatever notion that these people are using is not working, I say, okay,
Mm.
let me go on this other side and see what's going on. Maybe there is some truth to this.
And honestly, that's how I got here.
Okay.
I got here at 40 where I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me get some mentors. Let me learn something totally different. And for the last 13 years, I have been completely converted. I have put
Great.
down the masculine stick and I have picked up the feminine stick. And this is the side I stay on. I
All
stay on the
right.
feminine. I stay on the now. See, we that word submission is a hot button word, like you said, but I use terms like yield. I use
Hmm.
terms like acquiesce, right? So I am
Okay.
fine acquiescing. I am fine yielding to my
Okay.
male counterpart. Okay,
Yeah.
because I have to use those different words. Because if I say submit, I don't have a problem with it. But women, what?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So
Yeah.
yes, they
I
feel
mean,
some kind of
women
way.
need to have something to submit to. I mean, if a man displays a certain type of leadership and he's taking care of business,
Right,
that's not even a concern. A
right.
word. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So, ladies, I want you to understand something though. We're also living in a time where a lot of men are struggling with knowing what a healthy masculine man is.
Mm,
So, we're seeing a lot
mm,
of men who are running over to the feminine side and
mm,
they're, really not doing their leadership part. They're not stepping
mm.
up. And so, I want to help us turn this ship around.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I tell my ladies, one way we can do that is we're going to occupy the feminine side. We are going to lean back more and we're going to set standards. We're just going to set
Mm.
standards on how
Yeah.
we like
Yeah.
a man to treat us. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. That's how I learned. I mean,
Yep.
women, like I said, with the women kind of told me how they wanted to be treated. Of course, they
Yep.
were older, so it
Yep.
was a whole different mentality. So, I mean, I acted accordingly, and it
Yep.
was no, it was no problem with that. So I
I hope
totally
we
agree with
get
what you
there.
said.
Yeah, I
You
hope we
will,
get
you
there.
will, you will,
That's
you
all I'm
will,
telling you. But thank
you
you
will.
so much for
Thank
joining
you for having me.
yes, on today's episode. This has been a wonderful conversation. Ladies, I want you to listen to this episode more than once if you need to. A lot of my ladies do say, I have to listen to the episode again and take notes. So please do that. If you are not subscribed to the podcast, ladies, please, please, please do so now. And if you would do me the biggest favor ever and write a review of the podcast. Let me know what you think. You are always welcome to send me your questions, your comments at info@betterlovemovement.com. Remember, every Monday, we're going to upload a new episode to all of our podcast platforms and YouTube. If you are watching this on YouTube, please, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button, share this episode with anyone you think can benefit from it. Thank you again, Robert, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. Much
Ladies,
success.
yes, as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's MAGNIFI, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat.